really disengage it, but I mean, when you might want to do it is when you're not going to go fast, because when the overdrive is engaged, you know, everything I read says it's normal, but you get a freewheeling effect in second and third when you let off the throttle. There's like some type of sprag setup in there to engage the overdrive. So if you want more engine braking, then you'd want to disengage the overdrive. I have only ever done it while the car's stopped. I've never had a reason to do it while the car is rolling. L here is lights. So lights on, lights off. These three knobs, I wasn't sure myself, so I started looking at them. I believe H would be high beam, and this one's not labeled, and this D might be driving lights. These three seem to be false. They have nuts behind them, and there's no wiring going to them, so they are just kind of there. They could be used for something. You could install some switches to run different things, but at this time they're not being utilized. Over on this side we have our T, which is our throttle lock, like I said, which now is in a slight fast idle. C for choke, and this is a cigarette lighter. The radio, as I went over with Vito while he was here, does make some noise, but it doesn't seem to pick up any stations, so I don't know if the antenna is not hooked up. Not a radio expert. Normally more into just listening to the V12 run when I'm driving it, not to be silly, but it's a cool sounding car. I've never really tried to put on the radio until Vito got here, so it could be real simple to fix. And it appears to be an ashtray. I've never pulled that out, but that's very cool. Glove box. So, all right, we can close this and take it for a quick spin down the taxiway. I think that you'll be able to hear, hopefully, and see. Okay, I'm gonna kind of sit back at an awkward angle here because I have a feeling the camera kind of just stares right at the visor the whole time. So turn our throttle down. You probably can't even hear it on video with this wind that we have right now, but got a nice smooth idle. Now I'll turn off that parking brake I said I was gonna forget about. Here's first gear, down and towards you. I'm sure you drove lots of column shifts. This is actually the first column shift I ever drove. So we set off. Second gear. Watch out for the puddles. Let's see if I can. So we're in third, but it's not an overdrive yet. We'll try to demonstrate the overdrive once we get a little heat in it. Like, see, now the temperature gauge is coming down around where I'd actually expect it to be right now. Good train horns in here. Good for scaring the geese off the airport. All right, now when we come to the runway here, we are not open, but we always need to make sure no airplanes are coming to land. Oh, looks like we are clear. There's the geese I talked about. Let's scare them away. Go away, geese. They're kind of dangerous for the airplanes, so I don't feel bad scaring them away. Oh look, I should be a wildlife photographer. All right, so we're in third gear now. Kind of pick up some speed here. Now, unfortunately, with the wind, maybe if I put the top up, you'd be able to tell. We'll run back when we put the top up, but I don't know that you're gonna be able to hear the overdrive engagement over the wind right now. But essentially, as we're going right now, we're in the throttle, it's in third, and if you let off the throttle, and you get back on the gas, you're at a lower RPM because the overdrive engaged when you let go of the throttle and you got back on it. So now it's in overdrive and it's pulling pretty low RPM at 40 mile an hour here. use the full end of the runway here for our turn. Brakes work good. Second, like a lot of these older cars, first gear doesn't appear to be synchronized, so easier if you don't want to grind it to come to nearly a complete stop. So now we'll head back down the runway. So there, you can maybe, you were able to hear the transition in the overdrive. This knob over here, forgot to say, is the wipers. So they work. Not that I would recommend driving this in the rain, it's too pretty. So I'll let it warm up and we'll like, so you can kind of hear that little bit of the valve lash tick I was telling you about. That way you're not surprised. The one never seems to get too loud. This has got to be the safest place in the world to drive something like this. Oh great, they only made it to right there. I don't think they care. Alright. We'll take a drive past our hangars here. We're just putting along in third now. Give it a second. My car was hiding from the weather. So that was actually interesting. We transitioned below the speed of overdrive because it will give you overdrive in second or third, and it did downshift into the second instead of second overdrive, so. Trying to avoid the puddles. Very nice to drive.